This is WRST, Rochester's Worst Radio. This is Hardly Any Good. And this week, I thought I would change the format of my podcasts. So prior to this, I've been ranting. I've been interviewing people. I have just layered my stuff to where it's incoherent. But as I am a poet, or I'd like to think that I'm a poet, I am going to start reading the poem, and then I'm going to translate it to where it actually makes sense. And I'm going to put in some PG material, or I'm going to talk about anything from PG material to rated MR or whatever. M. So I like this one. It's three lines. A sweet taste, a grain of sugar, of a half-stirred cup of coffee. That was talking about love. And how sometimes you fall in love, and it's that. Sometimes it's hurried. Sometimes it's hurried and you stir it too fast. But in your excitement, you forgot a little bit of a grain of sugar on the side of the cup, and it tastes a little bit extra sweet right at the beginning, and it's kind of perfect. And it was just my thing about love. Okay. Iocane powder, a love lust to leave behind. I don't even remember who I was talking about that about. To be honest, if I do explain things about love or sex, sex is few and far between, but love is run amok. It's love aplenty in my life. I fall in love way too easily. I stay in love way too long. And then it's really intense. So I feel like that one poem, a sweet taste, a grain of sugar, of a half-stirred cup of coffee, that's how I feel about any love interest that I have. It's just I do it really quick. It's really fast. It's extra sweet at the beginning. And then it's just coffee. And I fall in love and, stay in love for a long time. But it's kind of it just becomes, though you love coffee, coffee is great. Coffee is amazing. I couldn't survive without coffee. But it is extra sweet at the beginning, and I don't know. I always like the hurried cup of coffee in terms of love more anyway. Alright, here's another one. Waiting for the cut to finish, drags its blade across the flesh of skin, a t-shirt maker, the things I do to pass the time. Waiting for the cut to finish, dragging the blade to precise points. Now this one I wanted to put out there that's not about cutting yourself. It is literally about a vinyl cutter that I use to make t-shirts, and but I did kind of want it to kind of seem double meaning-y. So waiting for the cut to finish, drags its blade. It should be dragging its blade across the flesh of skin, t-shirt maker, the things I do to pass the time, waiting for the cut to finish, dragging a blade to precise points. And that could also just be, if I did self-harm or harm, it would feel like the same thing. It would just feel I don't know, for lack of a better, and I'm out of my depth here, but just sometimes it's just pure boredom, and I'm not trying to say that that's what's happening and with most people or anybody else, but to me, in my specific memories, sometimes it was just complete boredom. So it's just, I don't want to like it to a hobby, but yeah, that's my t-shirt business that I have. So check me out. Hardly any good. Just message me and I can make you a t-shirt and ship it to you for like $20. So custom made too, because I'm fucking awesome. All right, here's another one. This one is about every aspect of my life. Trained brainchild, reaching mediocrity, but if I toe the line, I won't get visitation days. My style is your darkest night, crisp well water, good for waterboarding, makeshift understanding, the hopeless course, the tortured soul, the beat in my feet, the trained brainchild for the systematic mapping, good underwater optics, waterboarding everyone till the government decides we are the enemy, a lens in a lens in a lens in a lens, the gyroscopic existentialism. So that one is trained brainchild. So it's just, we're all told we're special, we're all put in accelerated programs, and that's, well, maybe not all of us, but like a good 50% of us, and we're tired. So it's not trained, it's tired brainchild. So we're just all tired. We get sick of burning the wick at both ends, or the candle at both ends, and it just becomes a sort of a fastidious thing to just sometimes live or do or say or whatever certain things. Reaching mediocrity. So that's basically what we get. All of us are fed that we're just special and this and that and this is great and that's great, and in the end we're just reaching mediocrity. But if I toe the line, I won't get visitation days. That is to deal specifically with my children. You gotta really appease the other parent to make sure that, even though you're not doing anything wrong, you gotta make sure that you're not really like screwing it up or whatever. So it's a blessing and a curse. They're a blessing, he's the curse. All right, my style is your darkest night, crisp well water, good for waterboarding. Sometimes when I write, I will be listening to a song or thinking a certain thought when I'm trying to come up with a new phrase or line, and sometimes I will literally put in like the last word I heard from a song or a thought as like the first words, and then see where that takes me. So I started that with, I heard, I think on a radio, on a song thing, it said style or something, and I'm like, what would my style be? And be like, your darkest night. And so that could be anything from like, your darkest night would be like either when the moon's gone and you can't see, or your darkest night as in the worst fucking depression you've ever had in your life. And like I'm cheery and I'm happy and I'm pleasant with people. I can get away with decent conversation 95% of the time, maybe 80% of the time, depending on who you talk to. But I'm usually just torture to talk to, and I usually get, especially when I'm not on default substances, I get really dark. But then again, it depends on who you talk to, because now that I think about it, I only spill the beans to like the 1% of my friends, what the darkness looks like inside me. And I think that's the same for everybody. Everybody has like one or two people that they, really communicate with. But my style, and in my head, I'm a lot more violent, pessimistic, angry, gross, just violent emotionally. I'm a terrible person inside, or it feels like it. So my style is your darkest night. So whatever you feel like your darkest night is, it's kind of like comparable to what I feel I experience. So it's a very self-centered line. So it's a very like, oh, well, you're so sad, Sarah. Great for you, Or sorry, Harley. And then crisp well water. So it's not only your darkest night, it's also crisp well water, good for waterboarding. And so the crisp well water is like, if you've ever had like well water, like maybe not to drink, because I don't think I've ever had well water to drink now that I think about it. It's kind of like, why would you drink the well water? I mean, unless it's like a spring or something. Oh, I have drank it. No, but that wasn't a well. Was it a well? Yeah, it was a well. Natural spring well water in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We waited for it to cool and we drank it because it was like heated to above a certain degree. It was supposed to be mineral filled and natural aquifer. So I have drunk well water. But this kind of crisp well water that I'm thinking of is like what you get from like the water well, or to take a shower, like if you're in the country or something. That shit's fucking cold, man. And I could be fucking cold. Like, I will love you and tell you to your face that I'm halfway deathly in love with you. I will cry if like situation is provoked. But in my mind, I'm kind of like, well, who's going to end up loving more? I'm so selfish. Like, who's going to end up loving more? Is he going to end up loving me more so I could have more power? It's always a control thing with me. Like, not outwardly, because I will act like a fucking maid, to you if we're in love and we're living together and stuff. But in my head, I'm like, oh, I know I could get him like emotionally this way. If he's just dependent, then I can have a say in whichever way I want, or you know what I mean? And like, this is 100% honesty here. This is not like, here, Sarah, I'm going to throw this in your face at a later date. But it's just kind of how I've lived my life up to this point. It's like survival, just culture. You know what I mean? Like, especially like being a minority and Hispanic, it's just kind of like, most of your life you're kind of just told to serve. So you end up serving, but deep down inside, that's just not the way. So you try to find like the upper hand in a situation. And I mean, yeah, and then I could blame this all on my heritage, but I know it's not that. I know part of me also likes having strength in being selfless and caring and this and that. I don't know, it fills my soul. So I don't know. So I could be like, I could be the sweetest thing, but if you kind of like cross me the wrong way, it's like you will feel my like doom and gloom, you will feel my emotional wrath. I won't do anything to you. I'm just gonna send you like a shit ton of bad vibes. You know what I mean? Well, not even that. That's not true, because I've gotten my heart broken and I haven't sent any bad vibes. It's the opposite. I've sent good vibes because I love them so goddamn much they broke my heart. No, but it's let's see. It's I don't know, it's good for waterboarding because most of the time I'm schizoaffective. I feel like people could read my mind. So I'll just send you some weird ass funky thoughts. I don't know. Not all bad, just it's good to make you kind of like cathartic after a while and get addicted to epiphanies and all that. To higher consciousness and understanding. I just get really trippy. Alright, makeshift understanding, the hopeless course, the tortured soul, the beat in my feet, the trained brainchild. Again, that's about me just feeling, like a tortured soul, with the march that you do because you've been trained. The trained brainchild for the systematic mapping, good under optics water. So systematic mapping, the trained brainchild for systematic mapping, is my way of saying that's how I feel. So I feel like I've been trained through nature and nurture for like them to map out certain parts of my personality or put me into a category or call me this or call me that. I feel very observed, very watched, very analyzed all the time. And I know it's just my issues, but I do feel that. Good under optics waterboarding for everyone. With that, I kind of change it to everybody, because it's like I feel like I'm not the only one that feels like, the darkest night or the crisp well water for waterboarding. I feel under good optics water. So when you cut a lens, sometimes you'll cut it underwater with a really thin layer of water just to wash off like any glass particles or stone particles when you're actually making the lens, to specifications. So under, and when they do circuit boards, when they do the chip circuit boards, they'll do it under optics water. So they'll do the lens with the water and the laser or some shit like that. I don't know. It gets kind of complicated, but so good optics water or under good under optics water. So, it just kind of like does things. Waterboarding for everybody, and I also mean that like we're all observed. So like good optics water is like maybe the lens in your computer, the lens in your smart TV, the lens on your camera. That's when I get to till the government decides we are the enemy. A lens and a lens and a lens and a lens. So good optics waterboarding for everybody. So we all get to feel a little bit of the darkest night and the waterboarding. Like we're all in it together to fucking lose it, not fucking even in it to win it. We're just in it till the government decides we are the enemy. When is this type of thinking going to become terrorism thinking? You know what I mean? Like, when is the way that I think going to be, like, if I'm giving away like national secrets by saying how optics are made, or by saying how circuit boards are made, then fucking crucify me. I mean, but I learned this from videos and books and teachers, so it doesn't have to be classified knowledge. So then it goes to the end. So till the government decides we are the enemy, lens and lens and lens and lens, the gyroscopic existentialism, new ideas not so new, maybe just disheveled compartmental declassification X. So, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, by me, because sometimes I will write about, like, some deep electronic and internet sort of thinking. Maybe code or just, like, neuroscience. Like, I'll use some fancy words. I'll use, like, some fancy, like, definition that I got. By like knowing the definition somewhere in my brain, it just clicks, and then I know what it is, and then I'll write it down and make it into a poem. So like, like a lens and a lens and a lens and a lens, the gyroscopic existentialism, because eventually the lens in our computer, the lens in our phone, the lens in our TV, that goes back to a lens of an algorithm, that goes back to a list of potential people, that goes back to the, NSA, that goes back to the CIA, that goes back to Interpol. They get your data on how you've been acting, and they've monitored you, and you have a score, and, it's just gyroscopic existentialism, because then you're just worried about fucking everything and how this is and how that is, and it doesn't help anybody. And it just, maybe I'm talking some bullshit, some conspiracy shit, but it's just like, maybe in the future it's just going to be declassified, and we'll just be like, oh, so that's what was going on, Alright. All right, so this is another one. When cloud 9 turns to 6, when cloud 6 turns more easily to 9, then again, maybe an 8 or a 0, then a 7 or a 1 or a 5. Some Newsome intelligence on infinity. A very fine water painter. Foil leaf. Numbers on foil leaves. Gold passes as direction. Direction passes as code, the currency to bitcoins, the gold vertebrate to file your hardware under, a clean soldering of mechanics, effigies to our gold calf, the descent of our kind. We are the dystopian future. So what I was talking about there was money, and money, when they used to counterfeit money. So like a 9 would be easy to turn into a 6. A 6 would be easy to turn into a 9. Or then maybe a 9 would turn into an 8. Maybe, or a 9 or a 6 could turn into a 0. Or an 8 could turn into a 0. Or maybe a 7 could turn into a 9. Or a 1 could turn into a 7 or 5. You know, it depends like how technical these forgers, these fake money makers were getting. You know what I mean? With like just counterfeit shit. And then it just extends itself to some Newsome intelligence on infinity. You know, just keeping with the times. There are I thought of this really cool process that if you can etch a gold, because that's what they do, circuit boards, like going back to my previous subject. So like they could do circuit boards. They can when they print circuit boards, they're on gold, right? It's malleable, it's conductive, whatever. So if they can print these numbers on these gold, I mean, the first time I thought about it was gold bars. You know what I mean? Like, so layers, like each layer of this gold bar had specific numbers to where I was high at the point when I thought about this, but specific layers to this gold bar. So in the end, you get like a million fucking little gold combinations, and it would just be like a gold bar lock or something, you know, for a computer chip. I don't know. And that was one thing. So foil leaf. So I'm thinking more about like maybe the U.S. currency to prohibit forgery could like get a regular old dollar, and in the gold portion that it has, because I think each of them has like little gold numbers. Like, let's see, I have a 5 in my hand, and this says 2008, and that was when this this is printed in 0609. What on earth? This $5 bill has a combination of numbers on it, maybe even letters, and it's not the serial number. That's interesting. But anyway, maybe they did do that. Maybe they already followed my thing, because it was like, you know, put gold lettering on it that has, you know, like a code on it. Like each little number has code on it. Very finite, very like a fine water painter. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's odd. So 5s have gold on them, or little bits of gold. Let's see. And then I have a 20 also on the back. It has all sorts of numbers. 20, 30, 20, 10, 20. Or maybe I'm just seeing it wrong and it all says 20. 20, 20, 20. Maybe they say in... But the 5 doesn't have 05. 05, that looks like a 6. You see what I'm saying? It's like when you get that small, a 5 can turn into this, or a 7 to a 1, and you know what I mean? It's just like maybe it's a new way to just monitor theft. I don't know. Numbers and foil leaves. Code passes as direction. Direction passes as code. So maybe just like the direction that you're inputting this key, if you turn it, and I wonder if in code there's that sort of thing where they could just like, here, this is a code, but don't forget to add the code that reads this code in reverse so you can have the actual code, because the original code was not code at all. You know what I mean? It's an error message, and you only get error messages. Like, the thing with like coding that I just found out is that like you could be typing in the right thing. You're just not typing it in the right way. And it'll give you an error, syntax error or whatever, or invalid or whatever. I just started playing with code. So, it won't it won't Grammarly and, because I use Grammarly a lot. And it won't Grammarly you and be like, this section of code is incorrect or possibly miswritten. It's not what it says. Like, it'll just be like error, and it could be a million things, So it could be like, it could be encryption keys. Maybe that's how encryption keys work, and I don't even fucking know about it. Maybe that's how encryption keys should work. Maybe that's probably how they do work, actually. Anyway, effigies to gold calves, the descent of our kind. We are the dystopian futures. So yeah, the dystopian future, I got that when I was high too. It was, what that means is just, we always, in the 80s, it was like 2020, or in the 60s, it was like 2020, and, it was like 50, 60 years ago to some. And it just turns out that, like, we are the dystopian future. We are the people that don't give a shit. I just made a t-shirt that I found off of a man, an old vintage photo. It says, La televisión hace la muerte un espectáculo, la mujer un objeto, y la política un circo. And so what that means in English is, like, television makes death a spectacle, women objects, and politics a circus. And it was like really true, and we are the dystopian future, and that's what we've based our whole adulting lives on this dystopian future. And it's quite possible that it always was, but at the same time it's possible that it's just gotten this way really slowly, and now we're all just fucked. So I'm writing a new story that is about everybody dying from mass psychosis. So I'm going to mirror it how the epidemic is doing. I'm going to mirror it to like the epidemic numbers that we're experiencing, pandemic numbers that we're experiencing now. But I'm going to take that as like a template and, ride this wave out, ride this pandemic out as a non-fiction as a fiction epidemic of mass psychosis. And so it's just another idea that I'm toying with.